Today we're diving into a fascinating topic: how academia and the feed industry shape tomorrow. My name is Iris Hoffman, an audiovisual editor of All About Feed, and I'm joined by two distinguished guests who represent both sides of this innovative partnership. First, we have Lynn Verstrepen from Best Mix Software, a company delivering cutting edge software solutions for the feed industry. And joining us from the academic world is researcher Jeroen de Grote from the University of Ghent, known for its groundbreaking work in animal nutrition and agricultural sciences. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So let's start with some brief introductions. Could you tell our listeners about your organizations and your roles? Lynn, could you start maybe?
So I'm Lynn. I'm the director of product management at Best Mix Software. We, as a company, like you said, make software for the nutrition industry, not only in the feed industry, but also for human nutrition, for example, but also pet food, premix, and so on. And you could describe our software as a kind of solution for the entire flow of a feed producing company, for example, going from the customer request phase to formulation, order entry, making the feed, the finance part of that business, shipping even towards the clients. So it's a kind of, full end-to-end software solution. It's not patchwork, it's a full foundation. And we offer different kind of functionalities in every step of that business areas.
Okay, great, thank you. And could you introduce yourself, Jeroen?
Of course. So my name is Jeroen de Grote. I work at Ghent University as a professor in animal nutrition in the lab LANUPRO. So we are a lab focusing on animal nutrition for dairy cows, broilers, pigs. We also focus on product quality, so meat, eggs, milk quality as well. My expertise or my research focuses on monogastric animal nutrition. So I'm more into broiler, chickens, and pigs. So additionally, we performed our research in the area of gut health in weaned pigs. And we evolved a little bit into the field of precision nutrition. We did some investments in new research facilities with state-of-the-art infrastructure. And then from that point on, we are more dedicated nowadays towards precision nutrition research.
Okay, thank you. So the feed industry might not be the most glamorous sector to outsiders, but it's absolutely crucial to our food systems. What are some of the key challenges the industry faces today? Lynn, could you start?
Yeah, in fact, it's a kind of behind the scenes industries. If you, for example, look at human nutrition or pet food, that's more into the picture, let's say. But if you look to the feed industry, it's really fundamental for food security. And we see a lot of challenges in that industry. I think the last couple of years, a hot topic was the volatility in the market, volatile prices, but also the availability of raw materials are really a challenge. We also see an increase in regulatory requirements. It's not making the life easier for feed producers. And a hot topic, sustainability. In the beginning, a bit of marketing, I also would say, and I'm happy to see that now it's really becoming a sustainable goal and sustainability, and not purely from marketing and let's claim something in order that our company is better on paper than another company. Because you see a lot of consumers, they do have expectations around it. People are more aware about the environment and we need to do something about it, also for animal welfare, for example. So a lot of challenge there. And besides that, because we have software also formulation, um, the formulation part of a business, let's say, we see that creating diets for animals, it becomes incredibly complex. It's a lot of ingredients, nutrients that need to be balanced. And then those extra challenges of animal performance and sustainability that come along, it's not that easy to handle anymore. And you see even kind of trends that it goes very precise towards the individual animal and precision feeding. So not even just for a herd, but okay, this cow has specific needs. So what's then the ration that this cow needs to get? So it becomes really a lot to handle, and those are a bit most common challenges that we encounter as a software supplier currently at our customers.
Yeah, I see. Thank you. And Jeroen, what is your take on this?
Well, I agree with Lynn with that respect that, for example, indeed CSRD reporting requirements are coming to the sector, and they are yeah, scaring the hell out of a lot of the companies to apply them in real life, and how to incorporate that into actual diets is a true challenge. And so we want to work with the industry to do that, and not only like carbon footprint is becoming an issue, particularly in Belgium and, for example, the Netherlands as well. Ammonia emissions is a big problem, and I think nutrition is going to play a big role in that regard as well. For example, further reducing crude protein levels of diets without performance loss, without losing feed efficiency, or still maintaining normal animal behavior, preventing tail biting, and abnormal behaviors in chickens as well, is becoming a very big challenge. So that's sustainability is for sure an issue. And then I think a next research area, or perhaps a domain of focus for the industry, will become, of course, artificial intelligence, all those new types of yeah, technologies. How can we incorporate them into our daily workflow? How can a nutritionist use them in a day-to-day basis, or perhaps how they can be integrated onto a farm? So,
Exactly. And can you elaborate a bit more on how these challenges manifest in day to day operations for feed manufacturers, Lynn?
Um, Yeah, for example, from storytelling point of view, what happens a lot is that you get a kind of alert, for example, a feed formulator, certain price increase or a certain ingredient is not available anymore. For example, soybean. Yeah, what do you do then? Because you have hundreds of formulas that are being affected. You're not going to do that one by one. So you need, yeah, a kind of solution there to tackle that. Also, when there is a new regulation and yeah, certain ingredients are not allowed anymore at certain concentrations, yeah, you don't want to do this one by one. You want to adjust multiple formulas in one go, see the effect, do an impact analysis. So a lot of work is entering there into the businesses. And on the other hand, you have consumers that demand a lot and they want specific characteristics. um, Also, then the farmers, they have specific characteristics that they're wanting. Also, the yeah, generally as a trend, we all want more antibiotic free production. Environmental footprint needs to be better. So a lot of yeah, complexity entering the day to day job of a formulator, I would say. And I think sophisticated is also maybe good to do a bit more deep dive on that, because it's not just taking into account sustainability, for example, because some companies, for example, say, okay, sustainability, that's the same as the protein content, for example, on a diet, on a recipe. You have a nutrient, and then you know on the total recipe what the protein content or the sustainability, the carbon footprint is, for example. But that's a um, very simple approach. And because the nutrient approach, first of all, you don't take into account all environmental parameters. A carbon footprint is not the only thing that has impact on the environment. Eutrophication, for example, is also an effect. And it's not that if you, for example, lower your carbon footprint, that eutrophication will go better, or it can have an adverse effect. It's almost like a spider's web. It's when you touch certain areas, it's not that everything will go in the same direction if you do it. So handling it, it's not that easy. So you need really sophisticated support and guidance there. Um, and also a bit what I said earlier, if you look to sustainability, for example, those companies, they don't want to maintain that data themselves. And because then you need to be aware, okay, what kind of content does exist in, for example, GFLI? How do I maintain this data? So it becomes, yeah, hard to handle. So integration with business partners that have really experience in these areas also really comes into place then. So managing themselves is also not the way forward. Collaboration with different partners is crucial there.
Yes, working together,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And what
yeah.
is your take on this, Jeroen?
Well, from my academic chair here, what I've seen companies struggle with is mainly two things. Um, Nutritionists still struggle with ingredient compositions and the quality of those ingredients, and how to incorporate them into diets. For sure, when we are talking about sustainable diets with new types of ingredients, waste streams, how they are characterized, and how those compositions might change throughout the year, for example, is still a major challenge, and how we bring that knowledge towards the industry is challenging for us, because this environment is rapidly changing. And so imagine that we take multiple years to characterize one ingredient. That's actually too slow. And so also from a research perspective, I think we need to rethink how we do this to yeah, support the industry in fast incorporations of new sustainable resources. So that's one thing. And then perhaps a second aspect I see nutritionists regularly struggling with, and I struggle with it myself, is how to capture nutrient requirements of animals on farm, and how to adapt to that with your recipe. So there might be some data available on the farm, but how do you translate that into a recipe is still a major challenge. And I think, yeah, that's also one aspect I want to devote my work to this part.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Now, let's talk about your specific roles in addressing these challenges. How does Best Mix software help feed manufacturers navigate these complexities?
It's a bit looking towards support there. For example, the procurement case, in the sense of, yeah, imagine that you have a certain ingredient not available anymore. What do you do? You need to build in functionalities that can help the formulator or the nutritionist in this case, and help. It's not just giving them software to be able to do it, let's say, but it needs to be also quick. The reaction time that they have, it's not that you can spend days to figure out, or even hours to figure out, okay, what will I do if something happens like that? You need to have on the spot a kind of a decision that you need to be able to make. So we build in then functionalities in order they can do this what if scenarios, that it's quick, that it's in the few seconds that you have a result, because the dynamics are really fast in this case. Also, sustainability, for example, and a step away from the nutrient approach and really integrate with partners like, for example, DSM, their Sustel option, or BASF, their Optinix option, embed that in the software in order that when you formulate a ration or a feed, that you see immediately what the impact is on the environment. And also go the step further. It's not seeing what the impact is. Besides costs, let us also optimize towards sustainability parameters. So a lot of areas where you can cover nice solutions there and software. Um, Even the precision nutrition, you build functionalities, and it's also nice to develop these functionalities. Like, for example, you have the individual cows even in your software, and that you see, okay, for Bella or Hetty or maybe whatever their names will be, or
The
most of the
classics, yeah.
time IDs. But then, yeah, you go in a different area where you more had a general approach in the beginning. You now really go to individualization of the animal. So it's sometimes a bit yeah, amazing to see how also the software is changing in these trends. But it's important, and to support the feed producing companies, their challenges, we need to foresee, in fact, these kind of building blocks inside. And also maybe something that Jeroen already mentioned, we see benefits of AI. A lot of feed formulation companies that give advice to farmers, they give advice based upon theoretical models like NRC, CNCPS, but there's a lot of farm data. You can build, in fact, an AI model which will be way more accurate than a theoretical model that was designed at the university. And that's then a bit more the future approach, I would say, but that also needs to be built in the software and bring that to the day-to-day actions of a formulator. So a lot of things to do there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to work on and to think about.
Yeah.
So, from the academic side, Jeroen, what research is the University of Ghent conducting to address industry challenges?
Yeah. Well, in the past, so traditionally, what we did is we perform research trials for the industry to support their needs in product development or nutrient or ingredient characterization, for example. So also implementing new cutting edge lab technologies or analytical methods to characterize, for example, fatty acids or esters of fatty acids, and to assist them in product development was always like a traditional approach that we did, performing um, efficacy trials and EFSA legislation trials to support them is what we did. But actually, when we really want to assist nutritionists, we devote more time nowadays also towards precision nutrition. As Lynn said, precision nutrition needs to be handled carefully because academic models, they can work in an academic setting, but how to translate them onto a real life scenario is then a second challenge. And so we work a little bit on both those things. We indeed develop precision feeding models in our own infrastructure. But then the second step is to indeed translate them to farm models. And for that, we actually rely on capturing farm data. And so working together with the industry, capturing that data and trying to build it into a workable system is then like a very hot research topic nowadays, how to build, let's call them hybrid models that both contain the mathematical precision feeding algorithms together with data-driven components that ensure that everything is flexible to adapt to new scenarios, to learn in real life, to adapt while the industry is changing, for example, and to adapt to new conditions. And so, yeah, that's what we are currently working on.
So, I understand that Bestmix and the University of Ghent have a collaboration. Could you explain the nature of this partnership and how it all started, Lynn?
Um, I didn't encounter it when I studied there because I did study at the University of Ghent as well. But I have an environmental background and not the other department that is using Best Mix. So the partnership started, in fact, with giving Best Mix for teaching purposes towards the university. So the students work in certain, Jeroen will talk a bit more about it, in certain classes, in certain practices with our software. And that's how it started, in fact, the collaboration. But I'm also happy to see that we are now more evolving towards really a partnership and that we are searching, okay, what kind of common interests do we have? What kind of more in-depth partnerships can we set up that are more future oriented? And there, for example, we see common interests in modeling, but also in how AI will change the future and how can we help the industry in doing projects in this area.
I see. Yeah, Jeroen?
So indeed, yeah, the collaboration between Bestmix and Ghent University started potentially decades ago. I think a former professor of our group introduced Bestmix software into our courses for ruminant nutrition, pig nutrition, broilers, and even aquaculture. And so we started using it into the practical exercises, and I think it really adds a new dimension of learning for the students because they can now play with a huge amount of nutrients and ingredients, so they immediately see the complexity of animal nutrition, and they also start understanding how important some of the decisions they are taking, how important they are, because if a certain nutrient has been miscalculated or misinputted into the data, that has a huge impact on the formula and potentially on animal performance as well. So they start learning about the complexity of everything, and it makes them also more comfortable when reaching out to the industry, because they already have practical experience with tools that are industry wide applied, and so they feel familiar with the industry, and so the gap to reach out to the industry and to work in the industry is much smaller. And so I really appreciate that opportunity we had to do this together with Bestmix.
So, looking ahead to the next 3 to 5 years, what specific innovations do you expect from deepening your collaboration, Jeroen?
Yeah, working together with Bestmix, for example, will facilitate the way we work with data and the type of data that we work with. So I think we will have access to the network of the industry and to learn what type of data is available to increase or impact in nutrition. What we for sure see in the near future is that we will implement these types of hybrid AI models to predict, for example, farm nutrient requirements, or to make farm specific recipes for pigs or for poultry. And Lynn already indicated that farm specific recipes for dairy is already a thing, but for pigs and poultry, similar things are coming. And I think we need to work together on that respect to integrate that into systems that are working. This will, yeah, also make or this will also depend a lot on how we handle data inside the industry, because a lot of the data is sensitive data. We don't want to share all these recipes. We don't want to put everything together in one database, and a lot of these recipes are company owned, and so we still want to learn some information from those recipes without hampering privacy. And so that's very critical for the industry. And so there are some technologies to do that, like federated learning, like decentralized data storage. And so research on those topics will be very critical to respect data privacy while still maintaining or still striving to implement precision nutrition in real life. That's a first aspect. And then the second aspect is perhaps also how we integrate life cycle analysis in in nutrient evaluation and into recipe development will also be a big area of development. So now LCA is already incorporated, but we also foresee that in the near future, dynamic approaches of LCA will become key into making sustainable choices.
And would you like to add anything, Lynn?
The thing is that a certain project we can do, for example, on our own as a partner for our customers. For example, if we want to build in AI models that help to reduce waste during the production, that's something that we can do as a partner individual. But like Rune mentioned, when we enter the formulation area, there we need to collaborate with multiple companies to establish something. And the best thing is to have enough data as well. But then if you're talking about data from different producing companies, yeah, that's sensitive. Eh? You can't just share every IP of everybody. So you need to look to systems. How can we do that? So setting up these projects where we will learn more about possibilities in that area is something that for us is crucial. And also the partnership is then crucial. Eh? We don't just want to be on the board and hear the results. We really want to be as a partner inside, doing the exercises, doing the iterations, to also allow our people to work on the projects. So it goes deeper than just getting information, let's say. And that's the most important thing that we look forward to the next coming years.
I see. Thank you. And if we're looking toward the future, what trends do you see emerging in sustainable feed solutions, Lynn?
Circular feeds, I would say. I hear it in feed, but also in pet foods a lot. So utilizing the byproducts of human food production, but also other industries. It becomes again more complex. It requires more sophisticated modeling as well, because the ingredients are less standardized than traditional ones. We also need research often on these ingredients, and also to be able to spread the know-how that they are possible. That's also still something that we need to do. Still continue to work further on the carbon footprint modeling. Will help, also that aspect. And most companies do it already, but in baby steps. So it's time to do the next big steps to really achieve the goals that we want to do from world point of view as well, not only in Belgium and in Europe, but on a population, global population.
Yes, all over the world.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Jeroen, what do you think?
I think that's a critical point because in sustainability, like a key approach would be to reduce soybean from Brazil to reduce carbon footprint, and that would then be like a sustainable choice to do. But in fact, we need to continue to work on producing more sustainable feed resources as such. Just not shifting our use of ingredients will not change the world. So at a global level, we need to still focus and put effort into the development and production of sustainable feed resources. And so that still deserves attention. So waste streams, for example, and characterization of waste streams will remain very important. Um, and then when we start evaluating these ingredients, I think we might still um, there's still need to improve how we do that. And I think two critical things are now still missing is the fact that LCA needs to be dynamic, and those carbon footprints and environmental indicators they change over time, and so we want to really try to capture those efforts that we do when we improve ingredient production. We need to capture that and translate that into those databases so that these efforts are captured and are used. And so dynamic LCA calculations are really important. And so the software needs to be ready for that. And then perhaps the second thing is then the aspect of consequential LCA analysis, where certain choice, for example, a choice towards soybean and the origin of the soybean will affect the trade system on a global level, and it might affect that more soybean is produced in another country in an unsustainable way because there the demand is so high that it surpasses uh, the offer on the market, and so new unsustainable production systems might emerge by disrupting these production chains and these trade changes. And so being consequential about the decisions we make is very underestimated, and so consequential LCA analysis incorporating those decisions and influences on global trade are quite important. I guess the example with Trump, his tariffs is a perfect example of how one decision can disrupt an entire chain, and we eventually don't accomplish what we want. And so this is a future perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I see. Good point. How do you see your partnership evolving to address these future challenges, Lynn?
So in my opinion, it's essential. I don't believe that any silo works. So no single company has all the answers. And working together and combining also the academic point of view of research will create real world impact. And for us, it's important to create that kind of ecosystem instead of being an isolated company. So that's for sure our vision about it.
Yes, I see. And Jeroen?
Well, I completely agree with Lynn, particularly in our field, in our domain of nutrition. We are not in physics or in chemistry, but we are in an applied field of science that the isolated research environment is becoming more and more obsolete. We need to collaborate together to accomplish the goals we want to achieve. And so we often think as academics being ahead of the industry, but often this is also not the case. And so we are very relying on the industry and how they work and what how they have implemented certain things, into understanding what they need, and then to work together to provide a solution. We really depend on those types of collaborations to have impact in the field that we're working on.
Exactly. And as we wrap up, you already shared a lot with us, but do you have some final thoughts to share about the future of the academic industry partnerships in the feed sector?
Maybe the audience, because we were talking about the vision, how software suppliers and the academic world can do something, but yeah, also feed companies themselves and be encouraged to invest in these kind of initiatives. Without them, it's also not possible. So it really, the future depends on the collaboration between suppliers of certain systems, the academic world, but also the companies themselves that produce the feed. And the more open we are, the more open dialogue there is, the willingness to innovate as well, and not wanting or not staying the status quo, I would say, then you can build it tomorrow, because it will not happen in a silo. It's a collective effort, and then it will create lasting impact.
Exactly. You agree, Jeroen?
Well, yeah, I think as an academic person, we strive for impact. We want to achieve something. That's our big dream, and I think collaborating with the industry is the way to go forward with that. It's not only the impact for me as a person for my own career, but I also see that it spills over in how we work with students and how we can motivate students into enter the industry and to yeah increase impact in such a way that more people are working on the topic. So I think that's also very important, and I'm very happy that Basmix is a good partner in that story already for many years.
Great, thank you. What a great, fascinating discussion we had. Thank you both for sharing your insights into how academia and industry are working together to shape the future of animal nutrition and sustainable food production. And to our listeners, I hope this conversation has shed a light on the important work happening behind the scenes in the feed industry. And thank you for listening.